On June 2nd, 1991, a multitude of people have assembled, eagerly anticipating the latest electronic news. Unbeknownst to them, they are on the verge of witnessing a shocking betrayal. Just 24 hours after Sony's announcement of their forthcoming partnership with Nintendo, the stage is set for Nintendo to deliver a highly anticipated speech. However, what unfolds is far from expected. Nintendo unveils a creation of identical to Sony's description, but without Sony's involvement. Prepare to immerse yourself in the fascinating story of the father of PlayStation. Ken Kutaragi, the mastermind behind the Nintendo-Sony partnership, was taken aback and devastated by the turn of events. He had taken significant risks to forge this deal, and now he found himself in a state of shock. However, his determined spirit refused to give up. To fully comprehend this story, let's start from the beginning. Ken began his journey at Sony, working as an engineer in the digital research labs. His innovative thinking and forward-looking approach garnered him a reputation as a visionary. Alongside his professional pursuits, he cherished his relationship with his daughter, who played an integral role in shaping his perspective. It was Ken's fascination with the burgeoning video game industry that led him to purchase a Nintendo Famicom for his daughter. As he observed her engrossed in playing, inspiration struck him, and he became convinced that Sony could create something even more remarkable. Fueled by this newfound passion, Ken approached Sony's executives and pitched his groundbreaking idea. However, the response he received was not what he had hoped for. Rather than embracing the concept, he was dismissed and told that Sony was not interested in developing toys for children. Despite this setback, Ken's determination remained unshaken. He refused to accept defeat and embarked on a remarkable journey that would reshape the gaming industry forever. Ken believed that the home electronic appliances Sony was manufacturing would soon become outdated. What Sony perceived as mere games had the potential to evolve into a broader form of entertainment in the coming years. However, Sony lacked imagination and failed to recognize this potential. They considered games as mere products sold at toy stores. They dismissed playing video games as a passing trend, but Ken had a different vision. He envisioned a future where video games would become a prominent force and be embraced by individuals of all ages. Fortunately, for all those who have enjoyed any iteration of the PlayStation, Ken refused to give up on his vision. Rumors began circulating that Nintendo was working on their next video game console, which added further intrigue to the evolving gaming landscape. Upon hearing the news, Ken took decisive action, defying his boss's decision and initiating a secret partnership between Sony and Nintendo. The stakes were high, as the revelation of his actions could jeopardize both his career and the project itself. However, when the superiors eventually discovered the clandestine collaboration, Norio Oga, the Sony president at the time, stood firmly by Ken's choice to work with Nintendo. Recognizing the potential benefits, Norio agreed that this alliance would provide Sony with a significant entry point into the video game industry, offering the necessary support. The partnership proved to be a formidable response to Nintendo's rival, the Sega Genesis, and yielded favorable outcomes. As a result, it comes as no surprise that Sony and Nintendo entered into a new partnership shortly thereafter. This time, Norio was on board from the outset. Sony embarked on the development of a CD-ROM add-on for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, breaking away from the limitations of low-quality cartridges that had been characteristic of previous Nintendo consoles. With Sony's expertise in CD-based products, the future appeared promising and more defiant. Alongside the Super Nintendo add-on, Sony also planned to release a separate console that would revolutionize gaming. This hybrid device would incorporate both CD and cartridge playability and was to be known as the PlayStation. The long-awaited moment had arrived for Sony to enter the gaming console market, and progress was smooth. After 2 years and countless prototypes, The two companies were ready to unveil their joint venture to the world at the Consumer Electronics Show in Chicago. Sony took the stage, making the highly anticipated announcement of the upcoming PlayStation and the creation of super discs to accompany it. The excitement in the air was palpable, and everything seemed to be going according to plan. However, this feeling of anticipation and joy would prove short-lived, as a mere 24 hours later, it was Nintendo's turn to take the stage. Sony had anticipated that Nintendo's speech would confirm their partnership, but Nintendo had a different agenda. Nintendo had realized that the contract they had signed a year ago heavily favored Sony, with Sony retaining all rights to the games they would develop. Unfortunately, Nintendo had overlooked this crucial detail. Thus, the day after Sony's partnership announcement, it was Nintendo's turn to take the stage and deliver their speech, which took an unexpected turn. In a surprising twist, Nintendo announced that they would be working with Sony's rival, Philips, instead of partnering with Sony as originally expected. Sony found it difficult to believe. Despite having a contract in place and working prototypes with Nintendo, it seemed implausible. However, Nintendo had made their decision, considering it final. They even acknowledged the persistence of a deal with Sony but declared that their future lay with Philips. The news left Sony in a state of shock. Olaf Olafsson, the president of Sony Electric Publishing, expressed disbelief. He stated that the spirit of the agreement between Sony and Nintendo was based on collaborative development of CD technology. However, with Nintendo's unexpected announcement, the spirit of the agreement had been violated. There were even suspicions that the deceptive move by Nintendo could be a strategic maneuver in negotiations. However, Nintendo remained resolute in their decision and showed no intention of changing their stance. Our engineers reached the conclusion that, technically speaking, it would be more advantageous for Nintendo to collaborate with Philips. Sony found themselves on their own, but there was someone who refused to let go of his aspirations: Ken. When a critical meeting took place in June of 1992 to determine the destiny of the PlayStation, everything hung in the balance once again. However, Ken knew what needed to be done. He reminded Norio of the betrayal they had endured at the hands of their former partners and how they had been publicly disgraced. Ken's words resonated with Norio, and he responded by saying, "We will never withdraw from this business. Keep going. Just do it." With that affirmation, the work on the PlayStation began in earnest. To distinguish themselves from the original deal, they chose to remove the space between the words, officially naming it the PlayStation. In 1993, the project received the green light, and in November of the same year, Ken established Sony Computer Entertainment Incorporated, a dedicated division solely focused on video games and digital entertainment. With resounding success, the PlayStation console made its grand debut in Japan. On its first day, approximately 100,000 units were sold, and by the end of the year, the number reached an impressive 300,000 units. The PlayStation success continued to soar, with an astounding 1 million units sold within a mere 6 months. Over the following decades, Sony diligently refined and enhanced the gaming console, evolving from the initial PS1 to the recent PS5. Alongside the main consoles, Sony also introduced smaller handheld devices, including the PlayStation Portable or PSP, PSP Go, and PlayStation Vita. The PlayStation line consistently outperformed its competitors, surpassing sales figures that neither Sega nor Nintendo could match. Notably, the PlayStation 2 achieved an unprecedented feat by becoming and remaining the highest-selling video game console in history. This remarkable journey can be attributed to one individual who steadfastly clung to his dream: Ken Kutaragi, the driving force behind the PlayStation. Retired at the age of 56 shortly after the launch of the PlayStation 3. However, his legacy endures, and he is revered as the man responsible for bringing the PlayStation to life, the esteemed father of the PlayStation. And that's a wrap for today's episode of Business Central. We hope you enjoyed delving into the fascinating world of business with us. Remember, the journey doesn't end here. Stay connected with us. Like, comment, subscribe to our channel, and click that notification bell so you won't miss a video. Stay inspired, stay informed, and keep making waves in the world of business. See you in the next one.